to. They're going at each other like an Italian guy and a black woman.
Hey, you can't park here!
Excuse me?
Having been officially challenged by her natural enemy, the black female prepares for combat by taking off her many rings. Meanwhile, the Italian male looks around to make sure the other Italian males are indeed seeing what he is seeing. Sensing the impending battle, a flock of Jews flies quickly away, as avoiding confrontation is their best chance for survival.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. This is Brownsugar Commentary, and I'm your girl, Kayla. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more videos. All right, let's get right into it. So today I want to talk about Mr. Seth MacFarlane and his very much anti-black misogynoir practices towards his black female characters, specifically in Family Guy and The Cleveland Show. And to give a quick definition of what misogynoir is, it is coined by Miss Moya Bailey as a specific hatred, dislike, distrust, and prejudice towards black women. And I wanted to talk about this because, like I was sitting there watching, on TBS and Comedy Central during the day, they'll have random marathons about the Cleveland Show or American Dad or whatever. And I was watching the Cleveland Show, and it was I remember relatively enjoying the show at the time, but obviously growing up more and unlearning my own thoughts about being a black woman and all that stuff, I watched the show with new eyes, and I was like, this show is problematic as hell, and no wonder it didn't last as long as it did. Okay? It is pretty much Family Guy in blackface, and it's almost worse because there are actual black women involved. At least in Family Guy, black women are very fairly absent, but they're there. But in the Cleveland Show, a show that was supposed to be about blackness, which is already problematic within itself, because how do you make a show about a black family when the person who's voicing the head of it all, the man, is a white man? Make it make sense. And that's no shade. I think that Sanaa Lathan and Reagan Gomez, and I think his name is Kevin Richardson, the guy who does Junior's voice, do great voice acting wise, but this show was disgusting. Really. It was basically Family Guy in blackface, and it was completely allowed, and I want to know why. Like I said, I do enjoy American Dad way more than Family Guy, and more than the Cleveland Show. I will say that's a guilty pleasure show. When I want to watch something and get a little chuckles here and there, I will indulge in a little American Dad. I think Steve is hilarious, and Roger. But I'm not going to ignore the blatant misogynoir that is present. Like I said, more so in Family Guy and the Cleveland Show, because those have actual black characters within them, where American Dad doesn't really have any black female main characters in them. So let's just get right into it, right? So Family Guy, there wasn't many black women characters in his shows, or in the show, especially in the earlier seasons, other than Miss Loretta Brown. Loretta Brown was Cleveland Brown's first wife. And Loretta was shown in a very unfavorable light, especially in comparison to Lois and Bonnie, okay? It was very blatantly obvious how different she was, not just in terms of race, but her whole personality. Like I said, Seth MacFarlane has a very misogynistic way about the way that he shows female characters, but Loretta was handled so differently than Lois and Bonnie. It is so disturbing. Loretta had this very deep voice. I really thought that it was a man doing her voice, but I learned that it's the same woman who does the voice of Lois that does her voice, and part of the reason why they ended up completely scrapping her character, killing her off, was because she was the one she said it was too much of a strain of her voice to do that character. Probably because you shouldn't have been doing it. Sally Mae. Her name is not Sally Mae. I think her name is Alex. I don't give a damn. So Loretta was very much a combination between a mammy and a Sapphire, where Mammy, in the sense that she was completely not attractive, like at least by how the other characters in the show perceived her. She wasn't seen as attractive or cute. Like, you didn't see really any of the guys trying to talk to her, or no one hit it on her. The clothes that they gave her to wear wasn't flattering. Even the type of shape that she had, like, it wasn't like a figuresque shape or shapely type of shape that like both Lois and Bonnie had. Like I said, even Bonnie being pregnant in the earlier seasons, she was still seen as relatively cute. But Loretta wasn't given that luxury. Like I said, none of the men really saw her as attractive or cute. She was very naggy, very bossy, very angry for literally no reason. Almost if you look up her character's name, every like shot of her, she's either having her arms folded, or she's scolding someone, or she's frowning. Like, she's never happy. And like I said, she's very much a split between a mammy, and like I said, a mammy in the sense that she's not really viewed as like conventionally attractive. She's viewed as pretty asexual, like no one would want to date or be with her. It's almost like you feel sorry for Cleveland, like Cleveland couldn't do any better. And then you have Sapphire in the sense that she's always angry. So that's obviously concerning. And then Loretta cheats on Cleveland. She cheats on Cleveland with none other than Mr. Quagmire, which is pretty low-hanging fruit when you think about it. Because Quagmire literally sleeps with any and anyone. So him being attracted to you isn't really saying much, because he does not really have any standard for himself. And she felt so, I think, unneeded in the marriage that she felt that she wanted a little bit of spice to her life. And that's why she decides to sleep with Quagmire. And she actually isn't remorseful about it one bit. She's kind of happy that she got caught by Cleveland. And she kind of leaves him, I think it was. She was, like I said, relieved to have gotten caught. But of course, this was not an affair where they were in love or anything. It was literally just based off of lust. And after that, she kind of just disappears, right? Which makes it look bad. Granted, like I said, both Lois and Bonnie have cheated on their husbands. Bonnie does so in the later seasons, but Lois, I think by this point in the game, she has cheated on Peter at least once. But Lois is always viewed as this beautiful woman and who kind of just settled. Like Peter is seen as, he's over, he's fat, he's mean, he has a very, doesn't make a lot of money. He kind of takes Lois for granted on several occasions. So like, you don't really feel bad for him when she cheats on him. Whereas Cleveland was seen as like a Sambo, like I said in my Black Stereotypes in Television and Film video. He is seen as very docile, very naive, especially prior to the Cleveland show. He's just a dude that's a deli worker with his little son. Like, he's very nice. Like I said, he's usually not really doing much, just chilling. And like I said, every time you saw Loretta, she was the one being mean to him. So you felt bad. There was literally no reason for her to cheat on him. And so she cheats on him, and then she disappears. Then she comes back. They try to get them back together. I think it's Brian and Stewie for some reason. I think it was when he was sleeping with some... Brian only does this because he wants Cleveland to stop sleeping with his girlfriend or whatever, or some girl that he was messing with. So they try to lie and say, oh, meet up with Cleveland to get him back. And even I think it was Stewie that was trying, or either Stewie or Brian, who was trying to convince her that Cleveland still had feelings for her and trying to give him, tell him oh, you're so pretty, or he misses this or that, and they struggled to give her a compliment.
Sent us. He really wants you back.
What?
Yeah, he says he misses that perfect figure.
Well,
Much like they would for Meg or someone. But like I said, this is different because this is a Black woman now. And the only Black woman up until this point to have a main role in this show. And in the end of the day, he doesn't take her back. He says, the pain is too much, whatever. But my whole point is Loretta was seen in a very unfavorable light. And as the only main Black female cast member, this is really not a good look. We're not off to a good start, okay? And apart from Loretta, most Black women are just one or two one-off characters that we don't see after the episode. They're usually in a cutaway as sassy, secretary lady, or when they're making fun of BET stuff, or some Black woman in pop culture. It's always seen badly. Like Star Jones, I remember they made fun of her. Like, they make fun of Black women quite often in a very caricature type way. Like, it's chalked up for laughs. Okay, and then we have the actual Cleveland show. So the Cleveland show has quite a bit of Black female characters in the cast because, like I said, this is a Black show. So first we have Miss Donna Tubbs, right? Donna Tubbs is Cleveland's new wife, and Donna is kind of the polar opposite from Loretta in a way. I mean, she's seen in the stereotypical way like Francine on American Dad, or Lois is seen like she's attractive, right? People find her attractive. However, she's way different because Donna is a single mom, right? She has 2 kids, Rollo and Roberta, and she was married to Robert, who was a jerk. He was a jerk, he was an alcoholic, he was borderline abusive, and he left her for literally no reason, just to go be trash somewhere else. And so this is already off to like a mess start. Like I said, this is a realistic storyline. I get it. There are plenty of women where this is their story. But like I said, when it comes to representation, you have to be very mindful of how you're portraying your Black female characters, especially when you don't do this very often. You're going to pick the most stereotypical like portrayal of a Black woman. And she's still in love with Robert. Like, if Robert were to hit her up right now, she's gonna go for it. Like, she seems like, once again with Cleveland, she kind of settled for him. Like, if Cleveland would have tried her up, a couple years ago, like while she was still with Robert, she probably wouldn't have went for it. She does not care for Cleveland that much. She probably likes him. She tolerates him. Like I said, she settled for him most likely because he's a good man, or he's a safe option. She does not truly love him. There's an episode where they get into an argument because she doesn't know literally any basic fact about Cleveland, where Cleveland knows literally everything about Donna down to her blood type. And when he challenges her on this and tells about his feelings, she says, "Oh, like, you love me because I'm Donna, and that's enough." And like I said, that is really sad because once again, it's Cleveland in a kind of one-sided relationship. Like I said, Donna is the opposite in terms of she's very hypersexualized in some like instances, especially when they do the episodes where they're kind of like doing those blaxploitation. Like, she's like an alter ego where she was like in some type of blaxploitation film, and she's like a Foxy Brown-esque type character. And like I said, if you watch my video about stereotypes in television and film, Foxy Brown, aka Pam Grier, like the movie she did in the 70s, was giving very much the Jezebel character, where Black women were highly sexualized, only kind of used as plot devices to be sexy. Like, that's your only job. And that's not me trying to, take a shot at Pam Grier, get it where you live. She looked good, but that's just what it is when like those characters, you only see them as, oh, like, she's really attractive, she's selling sex. And so, that's just not saying much. And one thing I will say about Donna is different from both Francine and Lois is she actually has a job. She is a secretary or an assistant at the school, and she kept her job even after she gets married to Cleveland. So that's pretty admirable. But once again, that's like, why couldn't she be a housewife like the other 2 white women in your shows? You made sure that she stayed in her job. And I think that's interesting because it's not like neither Stan nor Peter are really wealthy. I mean, obviously Stan probably has a better income than Peter because he works for the CIA, where Peter works for a beer company, I think it is. Still, like, not really much. But like I said, both of them are not working enough for them to be housewives. But here we are. But yeah, Donna, that's her biggest thing. She's pretty self-centered. She's very, like I said, if Robert or some other man that really wants to be with her, would have tried her up. Like I said, Cleveland's really no prize, especially in the Cleveland show. He definitely takes the lazy dad approach. All I do is drink beer, hang out with my male friends, more I do with my family type of deal. Like, he kind of takes Donna for granted at times, but still. Also, Donna wears a wig, and when she's not wearing her wig, it's almost seen to be like ugly. Like, it's not meant to be like, oh, she's just not wearing a wig anymore. It's meant to be played up for laughs. Also, going off of Donna, we can go into the next women, the women in Donna's life. So Donna does not know her father. There was never mention of a father ever. And, you know, she was raised by her auntie mama, which I'm assuming is supposed to be kind of reminiscent of a Medea or a Big Mama, who is basically her uncle. Dressed up as a woman because her mother abandoned her as a young girl to be a singer. Her mother is voiced by the legendary Felicia Rashad, by the way. But yeah, so her mother abandoned her. So once again, that's just, why did we have to do that? She doesn't have a father in her life. All she has is Auntie Mama, and that's just trash. I mean, kudos to Auntie Mama for raising her, but you know, like I said, I don't know. And I don't think, like I said, that could be transphobic with the whole Auntie Mama thing. I'm not sure if the uncle was actually trans or what the situation was that is. I definitely think it was meant to be like a Medea type of character because, yeah, take the information with what you will. Her mother was trash. That's kind of it. Like I said, I think they're reconciling, but why did we have to make the mother do that? Like, interesting choices are made. Next, we have Roberta, who is Donna's daughter. I mean, she's 15. I mean, she's pretty much popular, which is something that both Haley and Meg aren't in both of their shows, but she's, you know, but the problem with Roberta is, I mean, if you look at the way that she's dressed compared to the other girls, like Haley also has her belly button shown, but it's different. Like, it's a very sexual way. Even like, I feel like even the way her cleavage is, like, she's always being objectified. I don't feel like Haley's ever objectified in the same way. Roberta is constantly seen as a sexual object, literally by everyone. She dates a wigger named Federline, who objectifies her, and he's basically, you know, those white dudes that are constantly trying to act like they're black, whatever, you know what I mean, like, I'm from the hood type of tease when he's really not. He's a Jewish child from a wealthy family, who kind of, once again, just objectifies Roberta. He only probably likes her because she's black, and she probably, you know, he reminds her, it's the closest thing he's going to have to the struggle, basically, which is not admirable at all. That's kind of really sad. Once again, you see another black woman settling for less and being objectified and reduced to just her race. And I mean, like I said, she comes from a single mother. And I'm not saying single mothers are bad at all. I'm just saying that, of course, the sole representation is this single mother. And while she does get a father in Cleveland, which is like dope to see, we still see that she has to deal with a trash father in Robert. And then the last black woman in the show is Miss Cookie. Cookie is Cleveland's mother. And Cookie is, once again, you guessed it, the Bambi trope. She literally lives to serve as a mother and a wife to Freight Train, who was trash. I don't know what it is about Seth MacFarlane's and daddies, because across all his shows, every dad in these shows suck. Like, even the ones that are present, like Lois's daddy, trash. But once again, this is a whole new nuance when you're doing black father, because there's already stereotypes that black fathers are bad and absentee, and both, it's like Robert, Cleveland's father, and Donna's father are all absent, like bad fathers. And Freight Train, he takes Cookie for granted all the time. She constantly takes it back, even though he cheats on her. He is really mean to Cleveland, and doesn't really, you know, has never really been there for Cleveland his entire life. And, you know, that's not it. And Cookie, like I said, she's not seen to be cute or attractive. I remember there was an episode where she got like bamboozled in the mall by some dude trying to like get her money to be a model or whatever. And she falls for it, and they kind of laugh at her when she says, oh, some guy approached me and said I could be a model. And it was like funny to them. And I'm like, why is that funny? Do you see what I mean? So Cookie, yeah, she's a typical mammy character. She just kind of like, she looks like Cleveland just without a mustache. She's adorable, but you know what I mean? Like, she's not meant to be cute, like, or like, you know, the epitome of beauty. She's meant to be, once again, a mammy caricature, and that's really just unfortunate. And like I said, she was practically a single mother as well, because Fright Chain was relatively absent from Cleveland's upbringing. And this just brings me to my points, okay? Seth MacFarlane, you have a lot of, you know, he has a lot of leeway to make, you know, the shows that he wants, and he chose to make this show for what reason? I mean, I know what he did. He wanted to make black jokes and not get in trouble for it. Literally, the first version of the Cleveland Show theme song, he said, my happy black face, not mustache face.
Everyone will know my happy black guy face. This is the Cleveland Show.
And it did not go over well, so they had to change it. So that should have showed you where the hell this show is going. It was definitely just trying to make black jokes that they couldn't make in Family Guy. And instead of making a show that could have been relatively interesting and funny and have longevity like Family Guy has, he chose to make this caricature without the nuance or being actually funny, which is hence why it got canceled. I don't understand why black people were not a part of its creation. Like, he could have just produced it and, you know, whatever, but like, why didn't you have black writers? There's no way they were black writers, and if they did, they probably didn't have much of a say in this show. I forgot to mention this, but part of the reason why white men like Seth MacFarlane feel like it's okay to portray black women in the way that he does is because of the countless black men who have made careers off of making caricatures off of black women. Okay, you can probably name 3 or 4 comedians who have dressed up in a wig or made all their comedy about poking fun at black women. I mean, Tyler Perry made an entire empire off of a caricature of a black woman, okay? I mean, you have Eddie Murphy, you have, Martin Lawrence. Like, countless black men have done this. And even in a more recent situation, think about how many IG comedians who dress up as black women and get notoriety off of making fun of and poking light at black women. That is why when black women go through stuff, no one takes us seriously. We're always a joke. Even talking about, you know, the whole Gorilla Glue woman situation, which I don't even like calling her that. Like, I think her name is Tessica, so I'm going to call her Tessica. The whole reason why people felt it's so easy to not laugh really, but like berate her and call her stupid is because it's normal. It's normalized so much so that it's like, it's okay to make fun of black women. That's fine, because that's what we've been doing forever. So Seth MacFarlane probably sees no harm in doing this because black people, I don't want to be that person, but that is why it is okay, because black people do it, black men specifically do it to black women all the time, and we let it slide. And it's time that we don't do it anymore, period. But my point is, like I said, and I say it again and again and again, representation matters, and you need to make sure that you're making your black characters well-rounded characters. We have dealt with years of stereotypes and, you know, certain tropes that are like essentially anti-black and racist. And it's 2021 and you still have not had any prominent, well-written black female characters. Like I said, if I can think about any black women throughout the course of his shows that were shown relatively okay, was an episode where Chris dates a black girl voiced by Keke Palmer. That was okay. I mean, it was Jerome's daughter, and Jerome is a caricature of a man, like, you know, stereotypical black character, mandingo type of character that he does. He only writes black men 1 or 2 ways: geeky and dorky like a Cleveland, or docile, or hella smooth with like that Barry White voice, like Jerome or Fright Train or Robert. Like they're all, you can interchange those three characters. There's not really much of a difference, but neither here nor there. He dates her. I mean, nothing really comes, like he's, what's his name? Jerome's hella protective, but nothing really comes out of the episode. So that's cool. And once again, Brian dates a black girl one season, but Brian literally dates everyone. Brian is no prize. And they don't date past that episode. So what is that really saying? Like, she's dating a dog. That's not really cute. And Brian's trash. So once again, and like, two good examples or decent examples of black women compared to literally almost 20 years of bad portrayals and a whole spin-off show with 4 seasons is really disgusting. And you need to do better, Seth. Like, really, honestly. Like, it's not, this is no longer acceptable, and I'm not gonna stand for it. I'm gonna call it out every time. You know, y'all already know what time it is, okay? Have you guys noticed this misogynoir war within Seth MacFarlane's shows? Let me know in examples that I missed. But yeah, I'm stepping on white men's necks all 2021, baby. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll definitely see y'all in my next video. Peace out, y'all.